My dad's whore wife is destroying our relationship. Off the bat, I apologize for how long this is and for referring to a woman as a whore. I was angry when I wrote this, and Reddit won't let me change the title. I also do believe it somewhat fits, but understand how that's not the best word I could have chosen. My F25 dad, M59, is an alcoholic, has been one for years, and never properly addressed the issue until recently. For context, I do not get along with his wife. A lot of history there that would take pages upon pages to type at all, but for the sake of his sobriety and my sanity, I have tried to just say nothing about her complain. They had a non-refundable booze cruise planned months before we had officially addressed his drinking issues, and his wife decided to go on the cruise with him. Although he had only been sober for maybe a month, and he relapsed, and then I involved his family, my dad's sister, brothers, mom, and my cousins. My dad has a lot of pride, and this has been very hard for him, but everyone has been supportive, except for, in my opinion, his wife. We did a three-way call at some point after his second relapse, and if you knew me, you would know just how insane it is that I was on a fucking three-way call with my dad and his wife, with the way my relationship with his wife stands. But like I said, I was trying to put my shit to the side, because this way about my dad. On the call, she was just furious and threatening to leave him and that he's going to die before he's 60. Mind you, she was also the one that drank with him on the cruise when he was freshly sober. I hate that she's the one with him all the time, because she's doing a horrible job. My brother and I don't live with my dad anymore. She just makes him feel bad. The fight that happened a few days ago involved him calling me about a normal thing and then went off the rails fast. I also could tell he was in a horrid mood off the bat. He starts talking about randomly drinking wine every once in a while, and I tried to explain very calmly that I did not think that was a good idea, or something he should even be thinking about right now, because it's not important. He has said the drinking wine thing multiple times in the last 2 months when he's only been sober for maybe 6 months, but I'm not even confident he's sober because he slips up so much. We have caught him drinking beer instead of sparkling water. But anyways, it's concerning, and I feel his bitch wife is trying to get him to drink. I remember her berating him about how they used to be able to drink together, so what happened? So she's mad, he's sober, but mad also when he starts drinking again. My dad is cold and curt off the bat. He asks what's up, and I just say I'm checking in to see if he still wants to meet up later. He says sure, with like zero enthusiasm. So at P, I'm like, okay, well, if you don't want to see me right now, then that's fine. We can do it another day. He says, well, I'm actually really not happy with the way you talked about my wife. I genuinely don't understand WTF. I said that was so offensive, but I'm certain it's just because her devil ass is in his ear. I told him I once again stood by the fact that I criticized her decision to go on a booze cruise with you, and also for the way she's been handling speaking to you on multiple occasions about your addiction. To spare more word vomit, we just start fighting like he is furious with me for talking about his wife that way, and telling me to be a fucking adult, and I got so fucking triggered. To explain why I got triggered in detail apt to this situation would take IDEC how long, but my history with my dad and his wife is very rocky, problematic, and has been for years. And I was seriously trying so hard to not say a fucking word about anything this entire year, even when something upset me, because I didn't want him to get stressed and relapse. So him blaming me for causing this fight and just screaming at me made me incredibly upset. I am unfortunately very ruled by my emotions in arguments, so I ended up just sobbing and screaming at him, which I know is not productive. This conversation now was like fully about how I don't get along with his wife, and he's screaming at me about how my brother and I have not accepted her and how we need to respect her and get over it. Very short explanation for my history with his wife is that one of her sons was best friends with my brother in grade school, and in turn she became best friends with my mom, who was still married to my dad at the time. They ended up having an affair, and he's now married to her and left my mom. There is so much more filler as to just how fucking rotten of a person she is, but that's all I can type, because this is already so long. Told him how he has no idea the position he's put me in with this wife, and how my brother and I will have to deal with her for the rest of our lives if we want to have a relationship with our dad. I told him it's unfair to ask me to push past a healthy boundary I've put in place for myself with his wife, and that I've already gone way past my comfort zone multiple times to appease him, only for him to still be mad. At that point, we were really going at it like I probably looked insane to the other people on the freeway, fucking screaming into the receiver and ugly crying. I immediately got defensive and aggressive, and then I asked who he's talked to this about and asking if he spoke to his therapist, and he says no and that he's talked to me and his wife, and I must have made a noise, but I did not say much other than something around the lines of we're both not who you should consult in this, and also like no drinking at all if you're an alcoholic, and I had also never confronted him about his wife's foolishness with letting him on the cruise or anything else as she's done recently, because I'm trying to not stress him out, but he starts getting aggressive saying, don't start going on about my wife, she's the one that's been supporting me. And she started all this like, no she didn't, and no she isn't, but I didn't actually say any of that. I said, well, seeing as she's the one who took you on the booze cruise and drank with you while you were freshly sober, I'm not sure how much I trust her judgment. And he did not like that remark and just starts being all defensive about his wife and how the ticket was non-refundable, and now claiming it's not a booze cruise, but that he bought the drinking ticket so they could drink coffee, and asking me if he should have just canceled the trip and not received a refund. And I said, are you fucking kidding me? Of course, when your health is at risk. My dad is 59 with high blood pressure and years of alcohol abuse. But overall, okay. But still, don't think alcohol is ever a good option for him anymore, nor will it help any of his pre-existing conditions. He just starts getting mad, saying that's ridiculous, and that his health is fine, and that he realized, emphasis on him because no therapist or doctor has made this conclusion, he doesn't have a chemical addiction, but rather he went through things and used it to cope, and kept saying how I was saying he's not capable or that he's going to fall off the wagon, and that was making him super upset. But I never said any of that and have only ever been supportive. Like I have never got angry with him through this entire situation and told him he was projecting. The one who was actually a non-supportive bitch was his wife. He kept saying, because he was an alcoholic for this last year, that he is fine, but he's been one for years. He's just in denial. It's catching up with him now that he's older, but he's always had a problem. I mentioned the times he drove my brother and I drunk on multiple occasions. Sometimes I had to take over the driving, or just when he would lie and say he was at the gym growing up and we could smell it on his breath. He got defensive again and just yelled that he didn't want to talk about this anymore. At this point, I was very upset because I did not expect to get in a fight with my dad, especially after holding my tongue on things to do with his horrible wife in order to keep the peace. So I was blindsided and really confused as to why he was being so mean to me and aggressive. So ended the call crying, saying, I didn't understand why he was treating me this way, but that I could not handle it. My dad usually loses his temper, but calms down quick. I had texted him because I didn't want to talk on the phone anymore. I'll just upload the screenshots if I can of text messages. My mom, my BF, and my brother are furious and tell me not to talk to him. Brother says he will handle the communication from here on out. Fast forward to the next day, I genuinely thought he would have calmed down and felt bad for being so fucking mean, but I was very mistaken. We were actually supposed to see my dad, my brother and I, for dinner that next night, and due to all the fighting the day before, I told my brother I was unsure if I wanted to go, and he understood, but I thought it might be good to have a conversation about this all in person. My dad is not answering our group chat, so I decide to call him, my brother offered, but I said I could because I genuinely didn't think it would go so bad. Anyways, that's when he drops the worst possible sentence. In response to me telling him that he has no idea how shitty the position he put my brother and I in for life, he goes, why do you think I drink X my name X? Because of all the fucking guilt you have put on me all these years. And that's when I actually was done. He has told me on multiple occasions, I saved his life. I was the one that involved our extended family because his wife told me not to, and under her care only he relapsed like 5 times. Don't even really believe he's sober, Aaron. And also not fully blaming her for his relapse, only blaming her not letting anyone else know for so long. And she also verbally berated him, OP, with me. Who knows what she says to him in person. I can say that I can understand being frustrated while living with someone that has an addiction and how that will make you say mean stuff, but that's about the only grace I will give her. She was upset that our most recent family trip was a dry weekend in support of my dad. She's done countless other things that I can't even begin to explain how frustrating it is that he credits her with starting this whole thing. And by starting it, he texted me on 2 separate occasions, and we never text like those maybe have been the only texts we have ever sent to each other. But she texted to let me know he was driving drunk, sneaking alcohol, and that she couldn't deal with it. And then I had to get the ball rolling while trying to explain to a grown woman how alcoholism can make you lie, because she was furious with my dad for leeing and rapid-fire texting me about that while I'm asking her if he's currently drunk driving, because if so, let's stop that first. Omgeg. I'm sorry if I explained this bad, but now I don't know how to talk to my dad. I have not spoken to him since, after he said that I told him I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't know when I would, and I didn't want to see him and hung up because I was too upset to even think of anything better to say. My BF now, hates my dad, my family, friends. Everyone is telling me to not talk to him for a while. I just have no idea what to do. We used to fight a lot like this when I was a teenager and actually had more self-confidence then and more savageness because I would straight up ban her from coming to anything. I would be refused to talk to her or do anything. If you read this far, thank you, and I hope this made sense.